What up, everyone?
What's up, guys?
What's up?
Money
What's up?
Monday.
We had to skip one. Hanging out in
we should have done a live one at
Vegas.
ASD.
That would have been
kind of lit.
Yeah. So let's so basically, if you haven't been following a lot of the Amazon community, we were all at ASD last week, or at least we were all planning to go to ASD, which is a gigantic trade show. Basically, so yeah, Garrett, what was your favorite part of ASD?
It was the airport for sure.
Oh, okay, the airport. Gotcha. Nice. Okay, so why specifically the airport?
You know, just the people. You just get to hang out, meet some people. The 7 hours in the airport were sick.
Okay, nice.
And
then you go
interesting, yeah.
Gotcha. You hit a White Claw too with some strangers and go home. That was the best
well,
part.
Dan went to the casino. Yeah, Dan went to the casino.
Oh, that's a good move.
Yeah, unfortunately, G-Body was not able to make it, but it's a great time. I'm sure a couple of y'all in chat were also there. Let us know in chat if we met you. It was a great time. Well, Corey,
what slot machines in the Vegas airport?
Yeah, dude, it was bizarre. Yeah.
I'd say my favorite part of it was the event by far, right? And I think we had, I don't know how many people we had show up. I think somewhere in
I heard like 162,
150. Yeah, okay, yeah. So even more than I thought. So yeah, that went really well. Yeah, I think people learned a lot. We had a good trade show walkthrough the next morning with the guys inside the wholesale
what
network.
Was that like, man? Yeah, how was that? How many people came out? How was that?
So that was awesome. We had, I think, 20 or 22 people from the wholesale network that came out because it was exclusive to that group. And we basically split into 4 groups. We went to, I think, 6 or 7 suppliers each. These are suppliers that I personally bought from before and pretty much did like handshake introductions. So
so you were telling them like the Telegram channels to join and like this.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was like, hey, you want to join this Telegram channel and buy from these guys.
And you want to buy your
sure
shipping labels from this guy from this guy in India. Make sure you do that.
And ideally, they're
correct. Exactly.
From trucks that got robbed, right? That's like,
exactly. Yeah. So you want to make sure that your profit margin is at least 50%, because if not, then you're in hot water.
Well, the Amazon fees are only 30, so if you get the product for free, you should be.
Yeah,
that is true. Yeah, exactly.
You can get 70% margin.
Yeah.
Do you supply the teams that hit the trucks, or is that someone different? Is that another?
No, that's a contractor. That's somebody in the Philippines that we use.
Very good.
Sweet. How are the conversations at ASD? Get some new suppliers, that type of stuff, Corey?
Yeah, they were good. So we ended up finding, it's funny, we kind of stumbled upon this little rinky-dink booth, which happens to always be the best ones, where this guy working this booth is the supplier for one of our biggest suppliers.
Ooh,
so,
that's well.
Yeah. So he ended up being a good guy, and we kind of just hit it off. Or I guess I should say him and Joe hit it off, and we're organizing some opportunities with him.
Joe's hitting it off with whoever he wants. So I want to.
Yeah, Joe hits it off with everybody. Like
he could have a 30-minute conversation with a blank wall if he wanted to.
Dude, seriously.
He could talk to anyone.
Which is a compliment.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
I mean, that makes you money. Like
100%. Yeah. Pete Body, what's up?
What's up, Pete? But it was a great time.
It's been around 7 days now, still on transfer. 7 days, 7 to 14.
That's
sometimes it'll be longer, sometimes it'll be shorter. It just kind of depends on where that product is going. But I mean, ultimately, you can't control it, so it doesn't necessarily pay to track it. It's going to show up. It's going to end up being active when it is, and that's all you can do.
Yep. Biggest thing.
Make sure using the box some 2D labels though, because that's going to really speed up that entire process flow.
Yeah, the biggest takeaway from ASD though is y'all gotta exist in public, gotta be talking to other Amazon sellers. There's so much just like casual conversation where people are putting each other on literally 5-6 figures of game, and you just gotta be in the room. Like all these events are not about like the show or the speakers. It's just about talking to people who are at your level and making friends.
Corey, what was your keynote on?
At ASD. So I was basically just trade show 101 and how to really approach trade shows as an Amazon seller, right? We went pretty in depth talked about some good tactics that you can apply to any trade show, not just ASD. And honestly, some of the best trade shows, really the best trade shows, are the ones that are industry specific, like just a tool trade show or a fishing trade show or something like that.
Fishing would be.
That would be like
purchases there. Yeah.
Travis, do it right now. Show us report back with confirmation. Go sign up for your free trial right now.
How do you find suppliers for wholesale? Well, Google is going to be a great place to start in regards to just like niche specific distributors. And wait, I didn't mean that like a jerk. Wait, oh,
No,
no,
we weren't laughing at you.
oh, good. Oh, I was
Pete's got
going
a
to
good
say,
job.
okay, got you.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
going to say, okay. Yeah, no. So Pedro, hitting up your current existing OA products and seeing if they do wholesale. And then also just starting out on Google for distributors in your local area too. Looking like you got on Gated and Gillette.
Gated in Gillette. Let's go.
You did catch the ungate. In that, bro, I got fucking shaped up for the first time. I think low-key the first ever real haircut I've got. She was like, she didn't speak a single word of English, but she was shaving up my eyebrows and shit.
Yeah, you did have the lettuce in
Side
Vegas.
profile, give us a
There were
side
multiple
profile.
different substances. I was doing the leaning back. I was like laughing and shit. Like,
Did you get the hot towel?
well, it was the first real haircut, so of course.
Of course.
I think
yeah.
Gotta get the hot towel. Gotta get the
Yeah,
hot towel.
Yeah. Corey, the type of dude to have the numbers of the Clippers in his notes.
No, I don't.
Well, Corey-
The guy, it's
Yeah.
the same routine every time. I
No,
just walk in and
they
just-
keep that. They
it
keep
takes
that
like
at Great
45
Clips for him.
minutes.
Corey
No,
gets the
hell no.
discounted
Great
haircut though because it's less hair to cut.
In college, I would have great clips, but not.
He gets the
these days.
75% off special because it's less work.
It does make sense. Targets is continually canceling orders. Unfortunately, Abdul, many sites are scalable and you are going to be able to get around order cancels, or they're just not going to order cancel in general. Target is not one of those. So Target as well as Hibbit, unfortunately, are sites that cancel pretty heavy. It's just worth it's just worth finding sites that don't cancel like that. Hit up those brands for wholesale too, though, because Target's typically like consumables and shit like that. Hit up those brands and see if you can do wholesale through them as well.
Wait, when we're talking about OA, you should honestly get excited for cancels, right? Because when we think about OA at like sort of like the macro scale, most sellers, once they get that first cancel, will move on, right? We'll turn and run on to some other site, to another source, some other products. However, really one of the biggest competitive advantage within the OA space is learning how to navigate those cancellations. It's kind of developing that sort of like order efficiency, right? Where you can buy from those sorts of products, buy those sorts of sites, right? Because that's ultimately going to give you the leverage over other people. And you got to, for OA, you got to find any sort of competitive advantage, whether it be for discounts, no sales tax, coupon codes, whatever the case may be. But a lot of times that competitive advantage is simply the capability to order the products that other people cannot, right? And so whether it be using PayPal or Google Pay or using a different address, right? Or a different credit card, right? Or using a VPN or checking out with your phone, all those sorts of things, or changing the order quantity, right? Or calling customer service. There's 7-8 different tools in your toolbox to try and start to navigate those cancellations. Because once you develop that SOP for that site, well, it's game on from there.
Yep.
Yeah, it also is completely dependent on the seller too. So test all these websites that people are saying you get cancels on and stuff. And if you're able to get volume there, then that is a competitive advantage. I would assume all of us have stumbled into a site where it's like, people say this cancels, but I'm not having success. You go hard on that.
Use VPN browser, Brave browser. Haven't heard of that one. Change your address, name. The one important thing, though, is you do not want to be changing your billing address, right? That is one thing that you want to remain constant. You don't want to change just as your email address, your phone number, your name, billing address. Keep that all the same, because again, when it comes to that first authenticity, that's the connection that needs to be made to the order to your account.
That's a very good point. Barn Farm, good question. When you say wholesale, do you only mean getting brand directs or distributors? Are they both as good, or are they the same? So yeah, really it refers to both, right? Whether you're buying directly from the brand or you're buying from an authorized distributor, both of them are fantastic. Some people build their entire business from brands. Some people build their entire business from distributors. Most people do a mix of both, myself included. So I would say do both, but start with brands. It's usually easier to start with brands.
And the cool thing is, right, going off what Corey said, if you start with the brands, a lot of times they can connect you to distribution companies, right?
Yep.
You reach out to brand X. Maybe the timing doesn't work. Maybe it's not a good fit, whatever the case may be. If they give you that no, that's fine. Your follow-up every single time should be, I get it, right? Maybe it's not a good fit for our businesses or yours. Can you put me in contact with a sales rep of a distribution company that sells your products? Right? Because our team has already done the due diligence. We like the product. It fits with our catalog. We want to represent you with our Amazon store. I get it, we can't buy from you, but can you connect us to a distribution company that we can buy from? And a lot of times you'll get that connect, maybe even a personal email introduction that now you can still buy that same product, maybe at not the same price, but at the same sort of scalability that you were looking for with the brand.
Yeah, I had a really cool conversation with Jonah, who does $1 million a month brand direct for a little pod episode. I'll be tossing up. I know Corey, you just chatted with him for the wholesale podcast too, right?
Yeah, that's going to be 2 really good episodes there.
Yeah.
Get it?
I feel like Jonah's another one that we birthed through the Buy Box Bandit podcast, Miles.
No, that's interesting, man.
Jonah's been around for like a decade.
I think he's been on Twitter for a long time.
I know, but for
yeah.
social media though.
Well, yeah, like because I remember him and I got on Zoom like 3 years ago. Actually, it was in June of 2021. I remember back when he had the dreads still.
Yeah.
But
Well, the first time we interviewed him, he had the dreads.
yeah, facts. Yeah, I remember it's about a year ago. So yeah, yep, very good guy. Very good guy.
So Jacob, good question. Do you recommend using a prep center when starting wholesale or using a temperature controlled storage unit, which is what I've been using? Jacob, I worked out of a storage. I prepped my inventory out of a storage unit for probably 7 or 8 months, actually probably a year or even slightly more before moving to my own warehouse. And then eventually I started using a prep center. So if you have a good storage unit that's cooperative, they'll let you get pallet shipments delivered there. Luckily mine did. Then that can be a good option until you get to the point where you want to outsource that. Personally, I would do the prep myself for maybe a month or 2, and then get a prep center as soon as I'm shipping 500 units per month or more to FBA myself.
I mean, that whole conversation is tricky, right? Because it shouldn't necessarily be like a numbers conversation with yourself, right? It's not, oh, I'm doing 20K a month now, that replaces my income at that point, I'm good, right? Because you got to also account for, with the additional time, what can you potentially do, right? With the additional 4 or 5, 6 hours a day that you haven't historically seen, what can you now do? How many more brands can you call? How many more distribution companies can you call? Can you now maybe incorporate some RA or maybe some OA, right? So what other avenues can you seek out with that additional time? Granted, you're paying a little bit more, but ultimately your ceiling is probably a lot higher than it would have been before.
Well, and that's why I give that threshold, right? Once you're sending 500 units per month or more yourself to FBA, only then would I outsource it, because I'm a firm believer in you need to do prep yourself for a little while, and so that you get how to do it. Because if you got a prep center and you don't know how to prep, then how are you going to know if they're doing a good job? So that's why I set that threshold. Once you hit that, you know how to prep and you can outsource it.
I mean, the biggest benefit is speed, though. Because if you're getting all that stuff actually at your crib, you see the price maybe going down a little bit, you list it FBM, you make the sale before the price goes down. Like, there's a lot of flexibility you have.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
Oh, yep.
Can I use a website that can create an invoice for me if the brand cannot? No, I would not.
Yeah. So Elias is a beast. If I am recognizing his name correctly, he watched all 6 hours of my new video.
Oh, is he the one that took the 16 pages of notes?
Hella people were swiping
That's
up
sick.
on IG, like hella people were swiping up on IG, being like, "Yeah, he's gonna hit 7 figures in 6 months," like shit like that.
That's
like basically. But this is a good point. So the cool thing is, it doesn't matter whether Amazon's on something or not. It can still totally be good, even if Amazon's on it, right? However, you just need to look at the bottom chart on Keepa and see if the offer count's going up and down nicely. Because if it is, it means people are selling out. If it's completely flat, regardless of whether or not Amazon's on it, it's not selling enough, basically. So, like Amazon selling out doesn't necessarily make it a winning product, but Amazon being in stock doesn't necessarily make it not a winning product either. Finding products for wholesale. Yeah, Pedro. So hit up your existing OA items and see if they'll do wholesale, and then look for local distributors on Google as well. And then if you go to like listings that are like Crest and stuff like that, you'll find a lot of wholesale type items as well. And then you can store from stock and find more from there.
And Pedro also asked, what is the average margin for wholesale? So Pedro, typically 12 to 15% gross margin. And then if you're making 5% net margin at scale after paying yourself a salary, then that's pretty good, right? That's average.
And that's
I mean, that means your business is still growing after you get paid out, which is
Yeah,
huge.
Right. Yeah, that's a big thing, like caveat, right? That's paying yourself a market rate salary and then still 5% net profit left.
Yeah, you put that on Twitter, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, you're not making any money." Yada yada
Right.
yada.
Yeah, Twitter's a little toxic right now. We need some more positivity. In
I
there.
don't even look at the For You timeline. I only look at the
No,
following. I never look
you
at the For You.
abolished the For You.
Yeah,
it's
never.
poison.
Ever.
Sourcing through KPF versus reverse. Both of them work phenomenal. It's just what kind of you'll put time into, you know.
For variation listings, how do I know if a variation is selling well? So it comes down to 3 factors, right? The price point per variation, right? Because we know that's going to differentiate between ASINs. The competition within that ASIN. Size 8 may have 20 sellers. Size 5 may have 5, right? As well as the velocity, the relative velocity going to that variation, right? And so if we kind of unpack each of them, the huge differentiator between a velocity is going to be that offer count, right? And it's not necessarily a specific offer count going up or down, but it's relative. Right? How fast is one size oscillating compared to another? The size 14 may be pretty flat, going up and down a couple times, right? But if it's only has 2 or 3 sellers, well, that may be a lot different than the size 8 that's oscillating like crazy, but also has 50. So it's not necessarily an exact science, but it's a combination of competition, the velocity of that variation, as well as the price points, right? And don't forget, like the top couple, right, with the trophy of the one at the top, that's going to have most likely the top competition, obviously the top velocity, and a lot of times the lowest price point, right? So it's kind of, you want to try and find like a happy medium of all 3.
5% cash back. Oh, yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of store-based credit cards for in-store, and store-based credit cards for online I don't like because they tend to lead to order cancels in general.
Walmart card's like the only exception to that rule.
They took down the Walmart card, actually.
Oh, did they?
Unfortunately,
the Walmart
right?
card loop is closed.
Is there any credit card that does like 5% on Amazon purchases? Because that would be
The Amazon
card does, yeah.
But it's Prime.
But isn't it Prime? Yeah, it's Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Corey, take notes on this. Tony G stays dropping game for you always.
Tony, my man.
Stays dropping game for you. Yeah, that's love.
Dude, cracks me up.
Interesting.
Yeah, dude. So we ate In-N-Out with like 5 people, and somehow it was like $38 or something like that. If you go to Five Guys,
it's so cheap. Yeah, Five Guys. My meal at Five Guys is like $25. It's insane.
In-N-Out is deflationary, as you say, right?
Do they upcharge for the extra seed oils?
They do. Yep. That's why it's so expensive.
Nice.
Did you ask for no seed oils on your In-N-Out burger?
I'm pretty sure they cook it in animal fat regardless. I think.
You are not going to try and propose that In-N-Out doesn't have seed oils. I know for a fact you're not trying.
In-N-Out is the seed oil capital of the fast food.
Oh, sunflower oil. No, but when I travel, I lift the ban. Yeah.
Oh, so it's only when it's convenient, I guess, right?
I said at the wedding. I literally said at the wedding group chat.
You did.
You guys act like I'm not who I say I am. Yeah.
What's a good average waiting time for an item to sell? So typically that depends on how much you bought. I like to buy anywhere from, well, if it's the first time I'm selling a product, 2 to 4 weeks worth of inventory to kind of test it out. And if it sells well, then I'll hold anywhere from 30 to 45 days worth of inventory at a time.
Yeah. The big thing is just buy deep if you have a bunch of capital, buy a couple weeks if you don't, spread thin, move money as fast as possible.
Yep. And FBM too. FBM you could test light as well. Ooh, here we go.
Peanuts only hurt the weak.
Back up, selling on Amazon, doing FBM storage fees. So storage fees, that's not a capital thing, that's a skill thing. And that if you're sourcing stuff that sells quick, you're never going to pay storage fees.
It's a good way.
Warner has a great video on FBM. If you look on my page, I got some good videos on FBM today too. And everything. Okay, Colin, I'm going to text you in a couple minutes once we hop off here. I bought deep in Skechers. Skechers is the vibe. Congested when buying. Yeah, Eric, what you pretty much do with that is you kind of figure out which 1 or 2 you really, really like that tend to be really effective. For me, that's Capital One Shopping for coupons, Top Cashback, and Rakuten for cashback specifically. And everything, but you get a good vibe on that over time.
Yeah, somebody was asking. Travis was asking what Boxum does earlier. So it lets you create shipments, lets you track analytics, profits, all that good stuff. Launch week discount still going too.
Okay, here we go. So Luigi, can I get ungated using order confirmation? Absolutely. Getting denied is completely normal. And if you've done anything under like 10 manual ungates, you don't really have a good gauge of like the probability curve of getting approved quick. But there are lots of auto ungate brands that tend to automatically approve newer sellers. You should go do right now, like 32 Degrees, Jellycat, ColorPop, Athletic Works, Stafford, etc.
So Jacob, good question here. He's saying, is Keepa's metric of the X amount sold in the last 30 days. Is that extremely accurate when looking at their data? If not, is there a better metric to look at? So Jacob, that in my experience is the most accurate data point by far. So when Amazon tells you X amount bought in the last month, in my experience, that's extremely accurate. So if they say, 100 plus bought, then that means that listing is sold anywhere from 100 to 200 units. And the beautiful thing about that badge, or when Amazon tells you that data, is that is variation specific. So if you're looking at a variation listing and you see one variation that says 1,000 plus bought in the past month, well, a different variation might say 100 plus bought in the past month, for example. So it's easy to see which variations are selling better than others. Not every listing has that, but that is a good way to tell. So yeah, long story short, to answer your question, yes, that is an accurate data point.
Best way to ship FBM, whatever's cheapest.
Pedro,
be USPS under £1 and UPS over £1.
the competitive advantage with wholesale is going to be within the relationships, right? And it's going to be very, very, very hard, not impossible, but hard.
No, Pedro, you have to talk to people. You have to, and if you weren't good at walking either, you weren't good at using the computer either, you got good at those, and you can get good at talking. I promise.
See, I tried to get the question first before Miles jumped in, but
no negative self-talk allowed.
Yeah. I saw that one coming.
You gotta. It's time for some exposure therapy, Pedro. You're calling X suppliers every day until you're not afraid of it.
The beautiful thing about it too,
like your ancestors were like exploring new lands and fighting off wild animals. Like you can make some internet money, man. You can call up these suppliers.
Well, and the beautiful thing about it too is that first call is going to be really hard, but then the second call is going to be a little bit easier, and the one after that's going to be a little bit easier, and then the 100th call is going to be very easy. So you just have to do it a bunch of times.
Because the goal, right, when we're talking about how to really scale wholesale, the goal is you can call your sales rep. They know you by name. They know your life. I mean, not your life story, but they know your wife's name. They know your kids. How are the kids? Oh, the Yankees won last night. Those are the sorts of conversations. That's the sort of relationship that you want, right? And that's very difficult to develop over email. You want to be sending gifts for Christmas. You want to be sending, gift bags and stuff for your sales reps. That's the sort of stuff that's going to scale your OA, your wholesale business. That's the sort of stuff that's going to get you the extra 5%, get you the extra 10%, right? Get you the extra leverage in wholesale that you couldn't find with OA.
I bet there are 0 millionaires, billionaires on the planet that haven't embarrassed themselves a little bit on the way to accomplishing greatness. We all have a story we can look back and like, what was I doing, man? Like,
oh yeah, the way that I talk to suppliers in the days was so bad. Like it's embarrassing. So when they don't
question,
this is a really good question.
Really good question. Yeah.
Yeah, really good question. So when they don't have a wholesale section on their website, no. So that doesn't mean that they don't do wholesale, right? Any brand is really going to sell their products. Well, I was going to say in general, every brand is going to sell their products at wholesale to somebody. So just because they don't have it on their website doesn't mean that that's not an option. If anything, that's a good thing, because if there is a wholesale section on a brand's website, for example, then it's easy to find. Everybody's going to click on it. There's going to be a lot more competition. But if you kind of have to dig and call them and find out and ask that question, hey, do you guys sell wholesale? Then it's just going to be that much harder for someone to come take that account from you, because people don't want to do that work.
Do you want to go on a date with somebody who says yes to everyone? No. You want the supplier that says no to a lot of people.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
If an item doesn't make any sales in 2 to 3 weeks, does it mean it's a bad purchase? If it's actually been fully listed for that time frame, then that's teeter on the edge of a bad purchase. But you have to gauge if the listing's actually selling, because if you bought a couple listings but they don't actually sell, it's not like the item's fault. The item just doesn't sell and you made a bad purchase. So yeah.
Well, and it also depends on your pricing too. Well, yeah, I was gonna say it depends on your pricing.
We 3 weeks off. We haven't had Corey in 2 weeks. We're getting used to the group.
Like,
I'm gonna remove Corey just to kind of remember where we came from.
Yeah. Great.
I mean, it's a good practice as you're continuing to scale is to go in and audit your repricer, audit your minimums every week or every week, every 2 weeks, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right. Because what you'll find is that every market's going to go up and down, right? Every market's going to kind of have a life of its own. Some are going to drop, some are going to go up, right? And so you want to kind of have a idea of any of those tanking markets, any of those dropping markets, right? Because kind of how I operate is if a single ASIN hasn't sold in about 2 weeks, then it's time to start to maneuver price point, right? Drop that minimum and get things moving again. And so I would get in the habit of really going into that repricer and at least auditing it on a weekly basis.
Well, and also I think we underestimate how many new sellers just don't use a repricer. So this seller, I don't know if he's using one, but if you're not using a repricer, you might not make any sales on even on a listing that is selling a good bit, right? So it's all about make sure you're repricing and using a good one that's also set up correctly. Because just because you have a repricer, if it's set up incorrectly, it's not going to do any favors, right? So that's key.
What's up?
And
What up, fellas?
finishing off that, and I forget who asked this question, but like as you're getting started, the first couple months, again, we've talked about this on these streams before, but document every purchase. Have an Excel. Every row should be a new purchase. Screenshot the keeper chart, justify the purchase, right? Write a quick little 2-3 sentences in an Excel cell that says why you bought it, any hesitations, any question marks, why are you confident, right? To justify the purchase, because you're not going to remember why you bought something 2-3 weeks down the line. And so what happens I'm assuming you're looking back at a buy that's like, oh shoot, this isn't moving well. Wouldn't it be helpful to see what you were looking at that time and your thought process then? Right? Because now the way you're really going to scale and learn and iterate is to be able to compare the two data points, compare what it's at now compared to what it used to be and what it looked like then. And you can really start to piece this thing together pretty quickly. 2 months of documenting every purchase, justifying it, and then looking back on those justifications is going to make a world of difference.
Yeah, big time.
Nike and Adidas aren't currently accepting applications. Just want to thank you guys as well. Phenomenal day of questions. Like you guys are really bringing a lot of good wholesale stuff and everything too. Want to remind you guys, if you want to really, really take advantage of back to school in Q4 as best as possible, this Wednesday, Warren and I are hosting a free live training at 7 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you go to the link in the description and get registered for that. What's the best app? SellerAmp. SellerAmp. You can try it free. Yep.
What tasks do you allow your VA to do? I mean, so apart from obviously a prep center, the very first thing that I would
laundry, what else? Cooking, cleaning. Oh, driving to the grocery store, grocery shopping. Yeah.
Beating Miles in pickleball, that's also on the list. It's not hard to do, so it's probably one of the first things you can outsource. It's super cheap, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's an easy one to outsource.
It's a pretty low value skill to be able to beat Miles at pickleball.
Yeah, get that off your plate ASAP.
In terms of
I'm gonna have Corey running back and forth, man. When we run the ones, man. Oh my, it's gonna be. Oh
Dude,
my gosh, man.
You're talking tennis or basketball? Because the video that you sent last week was you playing tennis.
Really?
Oh my lord! Oh
yeah, right.
Oh.
Yeah, get him out of here. I don't
Bro, you sent a video.
I mean that might be unforgivable right there.
That was bad.
Okay, I only looked at the thumbnail, but it looked like you were holding a tennis racket. That's why I asked.
Here we go. Any tips? Yeah, it's gonna depend if you're buy box eligible yet, Maj. Go to your Seller Central inventory page and make sure you have featured offer eligible selected in your inventory columns. Right there, and there's actually a pretty good chance that you're not featured offered eligible yet. And you want to get like 10 to 20 listings up, and then you're going to get featured offered eligibility, especially if you have your shipping template set up correctly and you're in 0-day handling time in regards to FBA.
Yeah. See, the chat knows. Tough scene right there. LOL.
Yeah, my boy Brett in the building. What up, Brett?
What up, Brett? Rel's asked a good question too. He was asking, how do you pay yourself monthly every payout percentage of profit? It's a good idea to, at the start, pay yourself as little as possible if you want to actually grow things. That's why we typically say, like, keep the 9 to 5, do something service based on the side to like keep some cash going in. And then I love the idea of paying yourself like 1%, 2% of your profit in the early days. So you can be like, oh, I bought my coffee this month. Oh, I bought a new video game with my Amazon profit this month, whatever it is, right? You can see it, you can feel it. Otherwise, it's just numbers on a screen. That is completely psychological. It's not like the technically best thing to do, but it also has the benefit of making sure you like actually know roughly what you're making month to month. So if you actually calculate that, oh, I got to pay myself my $50 this month.
The other cool thing to do is like, if you start to like segregate your money, right, is if you pay a flat salary, quote unquote, every month, you'll see that nest egg start to grow, right? And that can create a lot more momentum, a lot more motivation, right? So if you have all your business profits going to a certain place and you know you pay yourself, call it $500 or $1,000 every month, well, first month you may have $550 in that account, then you pay yourself $500. Then the next month you may have $700 and you pay yourself $500. Then you may have $1,000, you'll see that compounding, and that's gonna be pretty cool to see as well. Just again, to Warner's point, just to make it more tangible, make it more real than just like monopoly money.
Okay, Libra, before you do anything legal with the government, you need to know why in the future, right? So like,
why did I do that?
Yeah. So Libra, you gotta, research prior. Like, so I'd recommend doing some research. Oh, no, that this is facts from Tony as well. A little rapid fire before we hop off here.
Somebody had a
just
question
to,
earlier
like, wrap
about.
it around, Corey. We call that sport pickleball
Yeah,
nowadays.
keep applying, Melissa. Getting
Whatever.
denied is normal.
He says whatever.
I know it's annoying, Melissa, but it's just how it works. The vast majority of ungates you do are going to get approved in 2 to 3 submissions, but the problem is people do like 1 or 2 initially, so they have a really small sample size.
And then you get people saying that it doesn't work when it's the suppliers that every veteran seller has used.
Yeah. Soccer.com is great. But yeah, Melissa, Puma.com, that's actually what I used for Puma as
Me
well.
too, yeah.
And
I
so-
use repricer. Yeah, it's just going to speed things up. And Warner and I both have reprice tutorials on there as well. Ooh, that's good. Okay, so it's only a matter of time. Maj, check the data buy box stats and see if you're catching buy box share. On that, you probably are some, at least. And if not, it's either going to be pricing, delivery dates, or that listing isn't FBM friendly. Yeah, how much money I need for wholesale? Like 5K plus. I believe you said you had like 50K though, page or 20K, Pedro.
Yeah, 5 to 10K for wholesale. And somebody asked earlier too if we ever run ads for wholesale. Not really, aside from that catch-all PPC campaign, which if you haven't done that, do that immediately. That's going to boost your sales by 10% within the first month. It's going to take you less than 4 minutes to set up. Go on YouTube and search Corey Gandam PPC. You can set it up in under 4 minutes. It's a cheat code, but that's the only PPC that we really run.
I deserve equity in that video.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you
I
shout
want
that out all the
10% of all
time.
proceeds.
I appreciate that.
Dealing with order cancellations, it's either going to be using like different jigging methods, so changing up your information and trying to isolate what variable is causing the order cancellations, or just moving on to more bulk friendly sites. However, we always like sourcing in packs, like operating it with other Amazon sellers, in which case you can solve those problems and isolate those variables pretty quick. So like changing up address, email, name, payment info, payment method, device potentially as well. And once you're pretty used to it, it tends to be pretty easy to get around cancel on a lot of websites. Yeah.
Somebody's asking a good question. They need to buy 2 to 3 months of stock to get the price point they need. No one won't drop the price unless you spend good money. Yeah, if you've done your research, a test buy would be great there. It doesn't sound like you can do one. But if you look back and you see like the 90-day, 180-day average buy box and stuff looks pretty consistent, then yeah, I'd say go for it. Also, just talk to your supplier and make sure they're not selling it to 25 other people. But do your due diligence, and otherwise, yeah, there's no reason you can't do that.
Yeah, don't calculate sales tax twice. Yeah. No, Pedro, do not go Chad buy 5K of one product. Like Pedro, nice and spread out, family. Like just like you did it that way, right? Just
wide.
Like yeah. Nice and wide. Getting denied pulls invoice. Keeps them in, man. That's just how it works in regards to that. Yeah.
Somebody said, what was your first wholesale product? So the first wholesale brand I ever landed was a baby stroller brand. We don't work with them anymore. But the first, I think, wholesale product I ever bought was a supplement. It was from a supplement distributor.
Did you get hit with like any docs and stuff selling strollers, or just
no? This was back in
Okay.
2019. Yeah.
I gotcha. I wonder if you have to submit some stuff now for selling strollers.
Probably, yeah.
So
Or the brand was on top.
I'm gonna go dice up Wi-Fi astronaut on Twitter and pickleball, presumably. Talk to you guys soon. Make sure you guys get Redshift for the free training. And I have a 6-hour free course I posted last week. That is, y'all should all go check out. It's really, really good. There's full timestamps. You can jump around as you see fit. Right there. Appreciate y'all tapping in. Good to be back with Money Monday, y'all. Be great.
Absolutely.
See you guys. See you guys
boys.
next week.
Good energy.